Okay. I think we are live.
Yeah, we are seeing you.
It says 0 viewers. $12 viewers, 41 viewers, 59. Assalamu alaikum. Hello, everyone. We are going to wait 2 more minutes, so we'll start at 7:50, just to give everyone time to join us. So it's 7:48 local time. We'll start at 7:50. So in the meantime, feel free to ask questions, so we can answer them. As you can see from the background, I am at the Google office in Dubai, and you can see the design of one of our, he used to be manager of localization. He's also an artist, so he's the one who did all of this. So I have with me two of the speakers that usually help me, Ahmed Sobhi and Ahmed Dahab. So they are going to monitor the question, and they are going to jump in when there are critical questions to let me know how things are going. So thank you for coming. And in fact, they are just coming from the airport. So just picking them up from the airport. So hopefully they're not too tired. خلاص بنبدأ. So I think we have 90 viewers, so I think it's good enough. So let me share the slides, and we'll go through the presentation. So to everyone. Okay. I think there's a 5-second delay. So this initiative, again, let me introduce myself. I'm Salim Abid. I manage the developer ecosystem in the Middle East and North Africa. My job is primarily to help the developer across the region. So this presentation will be done mostly in English. Sometime I'm going to switch to Arabic if there is a need. I have been working with the team from Oman with regard to the National Youth Program for Skills Development. So I'm very, very happy to be part of that program. As I said, our primary task and my primary job is really to help the developer in any way or form. So as part of that, as you know, you are going now to the phase 1 of the program, which is you're going to the training with Udacity for like 2-3 months. And the idea is we wanted to supplement that, to support that by doing multiple workshops, multiple webinars. So today is the first webinar. And then the idea is really in December, we'll do a boot camp and a few other things that we'll be announcing soon. So the idea again, so everyone will go through the Udacity training. We'll do the webinar in the next, starting today. And then hopefully in December, we will all meet to celebrate your success, and then do also boot camp and a few other things. Again, feel free to ask questions. And if there's anything that is not clear, please jump in. As I said, I have with me a couple of my speakers, Ahmed Sobhi and Ahmed Dahab, so they can help me when there's a critical question to answer. So what we'll do today is really we have our first session, which is technology trend. Tomorrow, with another Google, Oman Abdurrahman, he's going to do creative ideation. at the same time, and then we'll do on Monday with Ryan of the Hub, we'll do design thinking. And then just so you know that we are going to have with GDG Muscat 5 days of DevFest in different cities and different universities. This is a full day of technology training. So this is really important if you want to learn about, as an example, Flutter, which is going to be trained by Ahmed Abid so you can attend one of those sessions in 5 days. We are going to do also multiple, like, cloud assistant. So I encourage everyone to attend that. Also, there are multiple webinars online. We will send you the link as well to those webinars in the future. So let's start first. I mean, this is really the mission of Google, but at the end of the day, our mission is what? Is to help you find the information that support your job query, your aspiration as fast as possible and as good as possible. So the idea is really, how can we get you that information the fastest possible way? So from that point of view, it doesn't make sense for us. The more we know about you, the more we can get you the right information in a very with preserving your privacy. So let's start with this. Usually this is an interactive session, so I'm trying to do it in a non-interactive mode. So let's see how it goes. If you remember last week or 2 weeks ago, what did we celebrate? We celebrated 2 decades of Google. Google was launched and created 20 years ago. There were 2 students in Stanford that decided one day, I'm going to go to a garage and I'm going to start my own company. I'm going to have an innovative idea and I'm going to explore it. So if you think about that, you say, in your case, many of you are also in school right now. So I mean, I worked in many companies in the US and outside the US, and what's the best thing I learned in Google is that innovation is almost everything. That we always have to look and say, how can we improve the current situation? How can we come up with an idea that will help us improve our life and the life of our community? So I always ask the question, which is, who does remember what Alta Vista is? Who does remember MySpace? And the guys, like most people, don't, unless you are over probably 35 or 40. And what you remember is that 20 years ago, the #1 engine search in the world was Alta Vista. MySpace was #1 in social media. It was better than Facebook, even before Facebook. But all of those companies went away. And the main reason, in my opinion, they went away is they stopped innovation. And this is why we, as part of this program, we talk to you about, think about an innovative idea. Think about something that you believe will help the community in Oman, in Alam Arabi, and around the world. Don't restrict yourself by just saying, oh, I'm not going, oh, this area is already occupied by big companies and I'm not going to be able to beat anyone. Or I'm not going to be able to come up with a great idea. No, don't restrict yourself. Think big and think about how can you change the world? Look to the local problems and say, how can I solve those local problems? So as you remember, we did ask you, the team asked you to propose a new idea, innovative idea by December 5th. So this is part of it. So let's look to this. Let me ask you a question. What is this? Again, I don't hear you, but if you look to this, this is what? A balloon. And the name of this project is Loon. And a few years back, a team in Google said 2/3 of the world don't have access to Wi-Fi, don't have access to internet. How can we get them access to internet for free? If you are living in a very, very rural area in the desert, Of course, there will not be any telecom company that will build all the cables to get you the Wi-Fi because it costs a lot. So in Google, we thought, how about giving you the Wi-Fi for free? So team says, if I'm able to get a balloon in the sky, and that balloon will beam Wi-Fi to your phone or to your TV or to your mobile device, then you should be able to get Wi-Fi for free, and you should be able to connect to people. So if you think about it, if someone told you that there will be a balloon in the sky that will give you Wi-Fi for free, what will you think about this idea? Is it crazy or not? Most people will say it's crazy. But what happened 2 years ago when there was a hurricane in Puerto Rico is we were able to deliver Project Loon to Puerto Rico to save hundreds of thousands of people who were not able to connect their family. Now, thanks to this project, we're able to connect to their family. You know what happened a month ago? This company became its own company. It became separate from Alphabet and from Google, not from Alphabet, from Google, and its own company. In fact, in the last few weeks, they signed contract with multiple governments to deploy this to their territory. So again, it started like a crazy idea. Someone says, let's explore it. And then look 5 years ago, what happened? Let's look to the driving car, self-driving car. It's the same thing. If you think self-driving car, how can this be a reality? It's because people decided, let's innovate in machine learning, let's innovate in sensor, let's innovate in many areas. And they were able to get to a level where they are able to have this reality. If you look right now to Arizona and multiple other states of the US, self-driving car is a reality. There are existing self-driving cars. So now what I'm trying to explain in this video is sort of like when you have a complex problem. Do you say, you know what, this is too complex for me, I'm not going to tackle it? Or you say, can I model this complex problem into smaller problems that I can solve one at a time? So if you look to this video, you look to the left side, this is what the camera is seeing. The camera is sensing the pictures, sending them to the engine, to the machine learning, analyzing them, and here the modeling. You see the path of the car is here, those are the objects that are around the car. So it's looking and it's making sure, oh, there's a car on the left, I need to turn a little bit on the left. So it's really doing sort of like overlap, like object overlap, and making decisions based on that. It's looking to the sensor and saying, oh, there's a traffic light, there's a passenger passing, so I have to stop. In fact, 3 weeks ago, there was a chicken passing by the road in Arizona, and the Google car stopped because it was able to detect that. In this example, you have what? You have a bicycle going through the path, and at a certain moment, you know, in the bicycle, if he left your left hand, like he's doing now, it means he was going left, so the car slowed down. So again, the idea here is you have a complex problem, but you go and you divide it into sensor, image recognition, and then algorithm that will, based on the data, make decisions to slow down, not turn right when there's, like in this particular case, pedestrian crossing the road. So all of that is making that problem more solvable. If we go to the next, at the end of the day, Google, as I said, started as a search engine. So if you look down the road, you say, if you look 20 years ago how Google was, and then how Google became, is there a difference or not? Is the search engine that was there 20 years ago the same as today? If we look to the user interface, it's almost the same. If you remember, if you go now, like example, to any other search engine, like Yahoo, etc., what you will see a lot of items in their first page, where Google is always simple. So that's also what we will talk about, like in the third session, which is user design thinking. How do you think about the problem from a design thinking point of view? How do you try to simplify the design so it's easy for your user and customer and the one who's going to buy your product to use it? But the idea is really that you will always need to continue to improve and adapt to the new changes in the world. Google, as an example, about 3 months ago, launched Google in Arabic. Why? Because we found out that thanks to machine learning, we can improve a lot the search in Arabic based on specific language, specific Arabic language item. So if we go next and we say, okay, so if we look 5 years ago, there was an innovation. If you remember, we always were working on desktop and laptop, correct? And then 5 years ago, what happened? Think about it. We had the mobile revolution, correct? We had the smartphone. So everyone moved to smartphone. If you look right now to certain countries like India or Brazil or China, or even, to be honest with you, Oman, if you have a little sister or brother who is 1 or she's 1 or 2 years old, guess what she's asking you every day? Is she asking you to give her her laptop? No. Give me your mobile so I can play, I can do. So there is a shift from the desktop to the mobile. So when you are doing development of a new app, think about the mobile. Now, if you say, hey, Salim, how about 2 years down the road, 4 years down the road? What we are seeing is that there is also now another shift from the mobile where you text and you type into the voice recognition. So what you will see, and I'll show you this video as a sort of demo how it's now being used, how Google Voice and voice in general is being used.
Okay, Google, turn on the hall lights.
Okay, Google, turn up the music.
Okay, Google, what's a good substitute for cardamom? Combine 1 part cinnamon and 1 part nutmeg.
Okay, Google, what sound does a whale make? Okay, Google, what's the weather?
2 babies dream.
How do you say nice to meet you in Spanish?
Encantada de conocerte. Okay, Google, dim the downstairs lights.
So right now, when you look about or you think about the assistant or the Google Assistant, it's available everywhere. What we have, the statistics are saying that at least 30% of all the searches from now until 2020 would be without a screen. That everyone would be saying, hey, show me the path to the restaurant. Like right now, like every day when I try to set up an alarm, I never type. I just say, okay, Google, set my alarm to 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. Or wake me up for 5 a.m., etc., etc. Or remind me tomorrow to buy milk. So now it's more useful. The good news is that even the implementation of the Google Assistant is now becoming very, very easy. And that in DevFest, in November 4th to the 8th, with Speaker Oman, he will take you through 1 hour or 2 hours of study jam that you will be able, if you have basic programming skills, to implement that. So it's not something that it's like magical, we cannot implement, that is very difficult. It's not. It's becoming easier and easier and easier. The second part, what we have seen the last 2 years, in fact, in Google, it has been probably more like 8, 9 years, is the improvement and the progress of machine learning. Like how powerful machine learning helped us now. If you're using Google, if you're using Gmail as an example, look to what the latest version of Gmail about 2 months or 3 months ago came. Right now, in my case, it's saving me a lot of time because it's giving me answers like, yes, of course, or no, I don't, or so I don't have to type things. In fact, in many cases, it started recognizing my expression, my own expression, because I have my own expression, which is like, let's talk tomorrow. So it's auto-complete my sentences. So which is really, for me, is like, great, it's talking my language. And it's learning how I speak and how I write, and it's doing that. So this is part of what our belief in Google in open source. So one thing that, like, I ask people, do you know GitHub? And some people know GitHub, some people don't. And I encourage a lot of people, if you're doing development, if you're doing programming, go to GitHub, look to what other people are doing. learn what they do and build on top of it. You don't have to reinvent everything. You can just say, here a program, cool program to do something, I'm going to build on top of it. And I can show you an example. TensorFlow is the engine that we are using in Google, and it's open source. So if you see here, the number of GitHub stars since 2016, compared to any other engine, TensorFlow is the highest. Why? Because a lot of people have highest interest in machine learning, and they want to use it more and more, and it's easy to use. So let me show you a video, and let me tell you a story of this person. So this is an embedded engineer. He's not a software engineer. He's from Japan. He has a family. His mom works about 12 to 14 hours every day to sort cucumber, okay? So that's his job. Like, he wake up in the morning when he was young, and he see his mom working in the field sorting cucumber. So he said, oh, wow, like, how can I help my mom? And then there was a big competition in China. I forget the name of the game. In China, like 2 years ago. Do you remember the name? No, there was a game between the best Chinese player against a team that is using machine learning. And the statistic was saying that the machine learning engine would never beat human until like 2030. And in 2016, this was watched live by more than 1 million people. And that every time, the machine learning algorithm beat that person. So when he saw that, he was like, wow, maybe I can look at that. He went to GitHub, and he found an image sorting algorithm. So he said, wow, I'm an embedded engineer. I can create a machine, and I can show you what he did. So he had a machine where he would put the cucumber, and then the cucumber, he put them there. He took a lot of images, and based on those images, he sorted them into different quality level. So he will just put the cucumber, and then the cucumber will take pictures, will take weight, will take the shape, and then decide which quality it is. And it's much more accurate. So guess what happened to his mom now? She's happier that she doesn't have to work on the field 12 hours. Someone can say, and that was a question that someone asked me, he said, his mom is unhappy now with him because she doesn't have a job. And yet it's the opposite. It's really that now she can focus on other things. She doesn't have to do the manual work, but she have now the opportunity to go do other things that would be more beneficial to her family. So she's happy, obviously. So I always ask the question, can we implement this in our countries? Yeah, if you have manga, if you have dates, if you have a lot of examples where you can do image recognition and sorting, you can do that. And now with AutoML or Cloud ML, that allow you to do a lot of storing of images, that allow you to do searches on hundreds of thousands of images, that allow you to be more accurate. Let's skip Open Cloud. The same thing for Arco. Like, if you think about one thing about, just to talk about cloud in general, also in cloud, you will find a lot of things that Google created, like Kubernetes, container, where we pushed it to the open community, to open source community. Again, all of those, you can go to the open source community and you find all of those projects for free that you could leverage into your own project. The same thing with Arco. Initially, the solution was a hardware solution, and we said that will make it difficult because you have to create the hardware that goes with it. So we went and we redesigned the whole solution to be a software solution. So now in almost every Android, you'll be able to go and play with augmented reality and virtual reality. And you could go to those links, and you'll be able to see that as well. So we will send you after the session, like after 3-4 days, we'll talk to the team from Shabab, and we'll send you a few links to some of those slides and some of this material. And the idea here also, when you are thinking about those creative ideas, think about, how can I help my community? Will this help? In my case, I know that every time I can go and try to buy like new table, sometimes I have difficulty. Is this will fit in my apartment, small apartment in Dubai, or not? Or even like if you have a big house, will this really be harmony with other things? So there's a small example, but also in gaming, in a lot of other examples. So example, like in this particular case, like you're buying a dress, or you're trying to make it easy for people to buy dress, you could see if it fits or not, and the different sizes, how they look. Again, what we reviewed in this particular presentation in general, and let me just cover one item, because I know it's let me show you this, because I know a lot of interest in IoT. Also in IoT, if you go and you say, in fact, I know like many of the like the GDG lead in Oman has a startup that works on IoT, and that's why I did hide this slide before, and I was like, no, I need to show it to people because this is a really big area of development, which is like, how do we use sensor? How do we use Internet of Things to have everything connected? So example, like I think 2 or 3 days ago, I heard one of the airport in the region decided that they are not going to do any more passport verification. What they said, oh, we are going to create a tunnel, and you cross the tunnel, we'll do image recognition without you even noticing that, and that you will be passing without even going through immigration. And they started doing that. It's not, this is a joke. They started doing that. So that's an example of machine learning, of sorting algorithm. But also, if you look to IoT, like we saw in those pictures, you go your home. Example, like in my house in the US. To be honest with you, I'm in a bed. I don't want to wake up and increase the AC or decrease the AC. No, in my bed, I'm saying to the Google Assistant, please decrease the AC to 21 or 20 degree, and automatically it does that. So those are some of the things that we can implement. If you look to Android things, also this is an area that we will be exploring in the next few months. And this is one area that is really a big area that you could explore as an innovative idea. Another example, I talked to a couple of guys who were working with me in India. What they did implement is with agriculture. They said, okay, when they are doing agriculture, sometimes you don't know if the plant is sick, you don't know if it's humid. So they say, oh, if I put the sensors, I can check if the humidity is high, if the humidity is low, therefore I can increase the water supply and decrease the water supply. So there's also some of the ideas of IoT. So again, this is really a vast area where you could look at that. Again, if you remember when you received the email, there was about 18 different sectors, from tourism, from industry. Look to those and look to some of the technology and say, how can I utilize those technology to be able to create a valid and a valuable business model that will allow me to have an innovative idea. The rest of the slide are talking about the community, but since we are focusing this time on the technology trend, I'll keep it to that. So what I'll do right now is really, if there are questions from the audience, I'll try to answer as many as possible. So again, if I look back to the principle that we discussed, the first principle is if innovative idea most of the time look a little bit crazy. But even if it doesn't look crazy, what happens is really, you will see a lot of people tell you, don't do that, it's like a waste of time. So I encourage you to pursue your idea and try to not like, discouraged by people saying, no, this is a waste of time. Try to test it a little bit, talk to users, see what will happen when you talk to them about this idea. Again, we will see that tomorrow in the creative ideation, and we'll see that specifically on Monday with the design thinking example of how do you verify with potential customer if your idea is good or not. So the first question coming from Miriam says, technology for architect and interior designer, any ideas? Example, what we have seen is with regard to ARCO, virtual reality, augmented reality, this is a vast area that you could use easily in this particular area. So you could look into many users that you have at home or that you have with your friends and say, how can I use virtual reality to make it easy for architect and also for interior design? their job vacancy at Google? Yeah, I mean, go to career.google.com and look at that. The reality is there is many opening in Google Dubai. I'm located in Dubai. This is the only office we have in the Middle East and North Africa. But most of the vacancy here are marketing. There's a small amount of what we call tech engineering, but not a lot. But in Ireland and Switzerland, I know many people who applied. In fact, I was in Lebanon yesterday, and there was one person who applied to an engineering position in Ireland, and she was able to get it. So, question about web scraping. No idea what web scraping is. So, can we compete with Google? Yeah, absolutely. I think the reality at the end of the day is that you have to look to what's your goal and what's your target customer, and look to an area where it's the same thing like Sergey and Larry 20 years ago come up with an innovative idea. Guess what? You can come up with an innovative idea. The second area is you don't have to compete with Google, to be honest with you, because in our case in Google, we really are trying to push hard to give you the technology for free, because we don't have the capacity, we don't have the manpower to innovate in every area. And the reality at the end of the day is how many engineers you are here, and you know your problems better than anyone else. So you will be able to innovate better than anyone else. So I'll give you an example. Like there was an app, I'm not going to say its name, 2 years ago that was very, very famous. Like, about like giving feedback, etc., etc. That didn't come from the Silicon Valley, it came from here. So I have no doubt in my mind that using those technology, you'll be able to innovate. Okay, there was a question why Google made Pixel 3 with the notch, even they know people don't like it. To be honest with you, I'm not a product person, so I cannot answer that question. But I'll give you a different answer. Probably no one remember this, but I was there in the US when Apple introduced iPad. I remember I can go back to that day and that week and that month. Every article was saying this is the worst idea ever. No one will ever use an iPad. Why would I use an iPad when I have the laptop, when I have the desktop? Everyone hammered that idea. And now when you see, we don't even have, we say iPad by default, regardless if it's made by anyone. So there are those great minds that think about how can I create something that no one think about. So the fact that Google made Pixel 3 with a notch or not, to be honest with you, I'm not a product. Maybe people like it, don't like it. But when we talk about the ideation and the idea that we want to focus on is you have to look to what's best for your community, but sometimes you have to push a little bit better where you come up with an idea that no one even think about it. If you look to the iPod, when Apple came up with that 20 years ago or 15 years ago, there was something called the Walkman. Probably no one knows what a Walkman is. But they say, no, we don't go, we will go to digital. And they come up with a crazy idea of that. And now that's the standard because it's part of the phone. You are discussing products, so here we are discussing ideas. Like in most of what the item that I presented, what I presented is the technology, like machine learning, Alcor, Android things, TensorFlow, cloud as an open source. But the idea is the idea without presenting a sort of implementation, it's still an idea. So you have to also look to the actual product. That's why we asked about the business model. That's why the team says you have to provide those 7 different items, because an idea is an idea. Without the productization of the idea, it's still an idea. So even when in my presentation, when I'm presenting technology, I'm just giving you some of the technology, but the idea also, you have to look to all of the services that other companies are giving. Look to anything else that you believe can help from any other company. We are just here presenting you my view, to be honest with you, not even Google view. And then it's up to you to say, no, I'm going to use this from this company, I'm going to use this from that company, I'm going to use a product, but I'm not going to, my idea will not be a product, my idea will be a service. So also think about that. An idea doesn't need to be, I'm going to create a product, it could be creating a service. So the question is, can we come up with ideas even if we don't know the technology knowledge to support it? Yeah, I have attended mini hackathon or ideathon where people come up with an idea that is really innovative in itself, process idea, and then they will team up with others to implement that in a way that make it successful. But again, that's why we have 2 months now. We have until early December to think about that and to do research and say, how do you go from just an idea to a business model to a solution? No one starts from having all the element, all the solution from the get-go. This is the good exercise we are having. And that will allow you to also, we have Slack, correct? We have, so discuss with people. Discuss, hey, how about this idea? What do you think about this? Maybe I'll modify it a little bit. Any other question? I think because I think we have another session coming like in 6 minutes. So again, what I encourage everyone is like in the next few months, especially tomorrow with a session with Arman, he will help you with the idea of creating ideas and then design thinking. How do you understand the user problem? Again, like there are different ways of looking at things. Most of us look to a problem and then try to find a solution. And then sometime you have a sort of like, hey, I have a solution to that I can implement. I have technology that I can implement in different areas. So example, like, you know, I look to machine learning, then I look to what's happening right now and say, oh, I can use machine learning in this area, and that area, and that area. Again, I'm not like the whole idea of those 2 months is to encourage you to think outside the box, to think about how can you help your community. And again, feel like I encourage everyone to collaborate. I encourage everyone to discuss with others about like how can we help. That's it. That's all what I have. So as I said, we have another session tomorrow. Feel free to continue asking questions. And then tomorrow and the day after, and then we'll have more workshop in October, November. Again, I encourage everyone to attend the DevFest, which is November 4th to 5th. So if you look to this DevFest, you say, how do I get and know about that? You go to meetup.com, and then you do GDG_Muscat, and then you will be able to see the event. You'll be able to register. So you go here and you say, oh, join the group. You click on join the group, and that's it. And then you see where this will happen. And this will be a full day. Every day there will be Flutter Study Jam. There will be Build Assistant Study Jam, Cloud Study Jam, Android. It will be full of mini workshop from a technology point of view as well. Because many of the questions we received were, how can I learn more about technology? And some of those will be also about Ideathon. Aman, I believe he has 1 or 2 sessions. So it will be live there, and you could also hopefully gain from that. With that, I thank everyone for coming today. Also, this will be recorded. We'll send you more link, and hopefully see you soon in Oman. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, let's be.